Hey guys, Coach Gethin here from CoachGethin.com, and right now I'm in a deep squat position. I won't be able to get into this position if I don't have good ankle mobility, because if I had stiff ankles I'd be up on my heels. So if you do have stiff ankles, it's probably worth putting a block of wood underneath your heels before you start squatting. I also need to have good hip mobility. If I don't have good hip mobility, my butt will wink underneath my back. And when that happens, that puts my back in a very compromising position. So with good hip mobility, I can keep an elongated posture. As well as that, I also need to have good thoracic spine mobility, because if I don't, and I have a bar on my back, it's going to cave me in. So if I have good thoracic spine mobility, again, I can keep a strong elongated posture. So when it comes to the squat, the first thing to consider is your stance. Take your feet waist distance apart and see how comfortable you feel in this specific squat. If as you're squatting you find your body is coming too far forward, like so it looks a little bit more like an exercise called a good morning, it's probably because you've got long relative femur length. So what is that? It's where your thigh bone is long in comparison to the rest of your body, in relation to the rest of your body rather. So if you've got quite a long thigh bone, what happens is when you pull your hips back, in order to counterbalance you need to put your shoulders forward. But that's actually quite detrimental, especially if you're having a heavy load on your back as you squat. So it may be worth, if you are prone to leaning forward when you're squatting, putting your feet nice and wide and putting your toes outwards like so. This is called a sumo squat. So this is a sumo squat. Okay, I'm going to put my arms across my chest for the demo. Here. And this is a conventional squat. So my feet are a little narrower here. So is there anything else that we need to know when it comes to our feet? We talked about ankle mobility, we talked about foot placement, but what about weight distribution? When we're squatting, we should try to keep the weight between the middle of our foot and our heel, right the way through. So up here I can wiggle my toes, at the bottom I can keep wiggling my toes. So that's pretty much what I want to chat about when it comes to the conventional squat. There's a variety of different ways you can load the squat. So for example, you can have a barbell on your back, you can have it to the front, which is a lot more applicable if you're looking to get into Olympic lifting. You can hold a kettlebell or a dumbbell in one arm or in both arms. For example, a goblet squat simply means holding the weight to the front here in this position. But I want to take a look now at single leg squats, because I believe they're actually more important than bilateral squats or double leg squats. So this is a split squat and it's the most basic version. So both feet are on the floor. This knee should be positioned so it's just behind the hip. Here. Okay, so it's just behind the hip all the way throughout the exercise. And the benefit of doing a unilateral squat is that it actually exercises the rotational muscles of the femur. That's very important for injury prevention. Think of it this way. If we're doing a single leg squat, I strengthen a muscle called the adductor magnus, which is one of the groin muscles. Now, the adductor magnus will pull the femur back into position if the glute muscles overactivates and tries to rotate that femur out to the side. However, if the adductor magnus is weak, you're going to end up with a groin strain. So I hope that kind of illustrates the importance of single leg squat variations. Now, as you practice this exercise here, if you do have an ankle injury, it could actually aggravate that rear ankle. So you may want to elevate the front foot onto a box or a step. But as you get stronger and you go from being on a flat floor, you could put this foot up higher. And you can put it up as high as a standard weights bench. But when you put your foot on a bench, make sure you put that foot flat. Never go on your toes. Because when you're on your toes and you have a barbell on your back, that ankle could get wobbly and then you could be in trouble. So always put the laces down on top of the box or the bench. So where can we go from a split squat? We can start travelling. So rather than doing a split squat on the spot, we could do a lunge. So from here, you actually step forward and then you make your way up. And that is a lunge. It's very good for developing the glutes. You've got the reverse lunge as well. Here. You've got a lateral lunge. Moving out to the side, very good. For the abductor muscles, you go down and then you push yourself up here. And this is your lateral lunge. So it's definitely worth playing about with a variety of different stances in your bilateral squat. But then when it comes to your single leg squat, start off with a basic split squat as I demonstrated earlier. And over time, try to progress from there to elevating that foot, to going into lunges, reverse lunges and lateral lunges. And that's how you improve your athletic performance in the lunge.